RotoBaller Game Day.
RotoBaller Game Day is live, ladies and gentlemen. Week 1 is finally here, and we couldn't be more excited. We have so much information to talk about today, so we need to get going into this right away. We're going to be taking your questions. We're going to be helping get you ready for games here in just under an hour. But to begin with, I'm Kyle Richardson, Senior Fantasy Analyst at RotoBaller.com. And the man Jake Hubman, RotoBaller expert, is with me. Jake, are you ready for games to finally be underway today?
It's like Christmas morning. I feel like I just, woke up Christmas morning getting ready to go unwrap some football presents.
Oh, yeah, football presents. Some of the best presents in the world. Like I said, so much information to talk about. Thanks for joining us today. We'll be with you until 1 o'clock. YouTube, Facebook, Twitter. We'll be all over the place. Make sure you're sticking with us, asking us your questions. If you have them, we'll get to those in a little bit. But first off, real quick, let's jump into some notes. Let's talk about some actives and inactives if you haven't seen those yet. We have some surprising ones and some not so surprising ones. So Will Fuller, we've talked about it a lot this week, Jake. He is out today. So Will Fuller is out today. Increase for DeAndre Hopkins, which he already gets enough, but he's going to get even a little bit more today. For me, though, excited about Lamar Miller. I think he's going to have a good day. Devontae Parker is out. So Kenny Stills, his value goes up for me. Greg Olsen is active, but I think that's one to keep an eye on. Older guy, potentially bad weather. Sonny Michel looks like he is going to be out today. Ronald Jones is inactive.
But he's one of the best rookie running backs in football.
So Ronald Jones, third on the depth chart in Tampa Bay, and he is inactive today. Marlon Mack is going to be inactive. Just a quick note on that one, too. It looks like Jordan Wilkins is going to get the start, and he's going to be taking a majority of those snaps today. We'll have to see how that backfield ends up playing out. And then Cameron Meredith is inactive. So is it Traquan Smith season? I don't know. We're going to have to keep an eye on that one. I like him in week 1, keeping an eye on that. So those are just the injuries that we've been keeping an eye on so far. As we go through, we'll make sure that we also keep putting those up for you and keep you up to date. Jake, we've got a lot of weather going on today, don't we?
I'm pretty sure it's raining across the majority of the country right now. And are they all horrible rainstorms where it's really going to affect a whole lot of fantasy? I don't think it's going to be a whole lot. I mean, we've talked about the Browns and Steelers game a lot. I know on last night's live stream and a few times here throughout the week, they painted a picture of making it look like the day after tomorrow in Cleveland. I mean, it looked like that big wave was going to hit the city. Reports this morning are saying it's not as bad as they had originally thought. There were some reports coming out of Cleveland. There's going to be rain, but it may not be as heavy as they expected. I mean, they were projecting 3 to 5 inches, and now it's down around an inch and a half. Right now, the current weather for Cleveland, they're saying it's going to be 60 degrees and a 70% chance of rain at game time. So more than likely, it's going to be raining. But is it going to be torrential downpour? Doesn't look like it's quite as bad as they originally thought.
Yeah, and we were really worried about it last night. So with that game in particular, I was listening to Real Talk Raf and Josh Hayes this morning on RotoBaller Game Day over on Sirius XM. They're on from 10 to 11. So next week, if you have Sirius XM, make sure you check them out. But yeah, last night when we were talking, we thought this weather was going to be drastically different. And still, I mean, it's weather. Anything can happen. It could change between now and then. But I think I'm more comfortable now starting guys like Jarvis Landry. Like last night, I was worried about that because of how much rain. But it sounds like the rain won't be as bad. It might be a steady fall throughout the game. The wind isn't going to be bad. So guys like Josh Gordon, James Washington, Antonio Callaway, maybe Juju Smith-Schuster, those guys I'm trying to back off of and find different replacements. Antonio Brown is a must start, though. I think Jarvis Landry is fine. Duke Johnson, James Conner, David Njoku, anyone in the short to intermediate passing game, I'm fine with in that one.
Yeah, absolutely. And we got a few other games going to be having a little bit of rain issues. Not anything horrible. It does look like it's going to be raining for the Bills and Ravens game. We kind of had that pegged for a ground and pound style game anyway, since neither one of them are a high-flying, high-powered passing offense. There is a 75% chance of rain in that game coming up. Also, the Jags and Giants, small chance of rain there in New York. Only a 23% chance at game time start. Nothing to really be completely worried about. I mean, it's New York. It rains there during games all the time. Nothing to cause concern for you to have any other concerns with any of your New York Giants facing the Jacksonville Jaguars defense. Also have something to pay attention to with the Titans and Dolphins down in Miami getting their little monsoon pop-offs there in the afternoon. That's a small chance. Same thing with here in Carolina with the Cowboys at Carolina. Also a small chance of rain. Just something to pay attention to. I mean, if you have better options and you are on the fence, maybe this is something that puts you over. Is anything that I can see that is going to be a huge issue? No, not right this second. But you never know. I mean, you never know. I mean, some of these things could change drastically. Make sure you pay attention, especially for those 4 p.m. games. I mean, things can change in the weather in the blink of an eye.
Yeah, if you have guys that are going at 1 o'clock that are playing in good weather, and you have some iffy guys that you didn't even think that you might want to put in your lineup going at 4 o'clock, then I would suggest moving those guys around. I would much rather play a good weather game at 1 o'clock than have to worry about, at 4 o'clock, what's the weather going to do? Should or should I not put somebody in? So keep that on tabs over the next hour. Keep an eye on the weather. We'll see if we can fit some more weather talk in here. I did not know that you were going to become a weatherman this morning, Jake, but
I'm not. I'm really not. But it's the only career that you can be wrong more at and still have a job. So
that's true.
Because nobody can tell you what Mother Nature is going to do.
Or there might be some fantasy football analysts that also follow that same path. But anyway,
exactly.
So a little bit of fun there to get started with. But so that's the weather. That's kind of what's shaking out this morning, what you should be paying attention to. Another quick note too, breaking news this morning, LeSean McCoy, it does not sound like he is going to be charged with his offseason issues that he had. So if you got him later in drafts, if people were worried about him and he fell to you, you may have gotten a decent value on him. Now, again, I've not been on any bandwagon when it comes to the Buffalo Bills this offseason. But if you got him in 4th, 5th, maybe even 6th round, it depends on how far he fell in your drafts. I mean, if he's at worst a low-end running back 2 this year and you got him as a running back 3, you made out well.
Yeah, I mean, I know a lot of people that have him as their flex play. Now, that is amazing value, A, but B, you also need to make sure you pay attention, and you'll be able to see it here firsthand this week. There's going to be a great opportunity for him to get the ball. That offensive line took a hit in the offseason. The offense as a whole is a little bit of a giant question mark. Nathan Peterman getting the chance to show that he can complete passes to his own team this year, which is great compared to what we saw him do last year. It's just going to be a whole lot of question marks in Buffalo. Not going to say that their season is over and they have zero chance, because that's kind of what a lot of us did last year with some of their off-season issues, and they came out and made the playoffs. It wasn't pretty, but they made it anyway. And the same thing could happen this year. We can't write them off too early. It's just kind of sketchy at best on paper.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. Another point, too, to talk about, also breaking news in the last half hour, 20 minutes, is Josh Gordon. So it sounds like Josh Gordon today is only going to play about 20 snaps. My advice to you, if you have Josh Gordon, you find someone else to put in your lineup. Antonio Callaway is going to get the start. Jarvis Landry will be out there. But if you have Josh Gordon and you planned on putting him in your lineup, set him. So if you're over here right now asking any start questions about Josh Gordon, you know our answer already. We are sitting Josh Gordon today. Jake and I talked about it before we came on, and Jake even mentioned, 20 snaps in bad weather, that has all the makings of a great week. Not. So don't do it. Do not put Josh Gordon in your lineup. Find somebody else.
Yeah, there's got to be some other option out there. I mean, even if it's somebody who you don't expect to have a huge day, if they're going to be in a good game with good weather and playing a full game, I would rather have that opportunity at those extra targets than taking a chance on a guy who's going to get limited work anyway in bad weather. It's nothing against Josh Gordon. I mean, if the weather was great in Pittsburgh today and he was only getting 20 catches or 20 snaps, it would be something to think about as a possible flex play, because he's the type of receiver that doesn't need a whole lot of volume. He can do a lot with a very little, but there's just too many question marks today to take that chance. And we see a lot of these comments rolling into. They're going in quick. We see you guys. We're going to get to some of your questions and stuff here pretty soon. We just want to make sure we got all the information out first, just to make sure everybody, if they have something going on this morning, that they get their lineup set, everybody's good to go, because the last thing you want to have happen on week 1 of the NFL fantasy football season is to forget to set your lineup and you lose because of it, and then it just ruins the next 7 days. So we don't want that to happen. We want to make sure the lineups are good, and then we're going to get into a lot of these questions. I see you guys flying by here. Don't leave. The question and answer section is coming.
Yeah, absolutely. And I saw this morning, too, Scott Fish had announced that only 6 people hadn't set their lineup for the Scott Fish Bowl. When you have over 900, that's good. But that's 6 people who could end up having a bad week. Do not forget to set your lineup. In my opinion, tinkering's okay. Tinkering's okay. Advised tinkering is okay. Don't go crazy at the last minute, okay? But keep an eye on your rosters. Keep an eye on the news. We'll keep you updated throughout the show as well. A couple of players real quick before we start answering some questions. Just want to say real fast, some players that I'm watching today as must starts, and Jake, I'll get yours here in a second. Rex Burkhead, Chris Hogan, and Lamar Miller. I am really keyed in on the Patriots Texans game today. Lamar Miller with Will Fuller being out now. Again, Will Fuller is out this week. Lamar Miller, I think he's going to be in for a really good week. I think he is a solid running back too this week, just because Will Fuller is going to be out. You know, obviously you have Hopkins there, but who do you have else other than that? And not only that, but Deshaun Watson, his first game back, his first real live action back from knee surgery. Are you really going to let it loose right away and let him go out and try to throw the ball 30, 40 times? I don't think so. I think they're going to try and control the game on the ground. They're going to try and control the Patriots with their defense. But on the other side of the ball, Chris Hogan, Rex Burkhead, Sonny Michel, sounds like he's going to be out this week. James White, I like him, but only in deeper leagues. So if you're playing in 14, 16-team leagues, something like that, then yes, a flex play in PPR I'm okay with. But Rex Burkhead, I think, has a legit chance at upside running back 2, low end running back 1 this week. So those are all guys that I'm keeping an eye on there. And then,
what about any big sleeper potential between Cordero Patterson or Philip Dorsett?
I'm probably going to go Philip Dorsett. We've talked about him a lot, and my thing with Philip Dorsett is I think he's more of the PPR pass-catching back. I think Cordell Patterson could end up having a couple of big plays, but in any instance when I'm trying to be safe, maybe in that flex position, I'm going to take the guy who's going to get the most volume. I think that's Dorsett this week.
Yep, sounds good. It could be a steal for DFS plays maybe.
Could be. Yeah, absolutely. Could be. And then one other game that I'm really keyed in on as well is Indianapolis and Cincinnati. I think Cincinnati going into Indianapolis is going to be a shootout. No weather to be concerned with there in the Dome, so we don't need to worry about all that junk. But Joe Mixon, I think it's the Joe Mixon breakout week. I think this is the week where he has the huge game that reminds fantasy owners why he was one of the top dynasty assets last year and why his price tag has been so high this year. So I think that's going to be coming this week. AJ Green, obviously. John Ross, let's wait and see him. Could have a huge touchdown today. That's not a very good defense that they're going to be playing against. And on the flip side of that, Andrew Luck, T.Y. Hilton, I think that connection gets back together this week. It'll be interesting to see about the tight ends in that game, whether or not Doyle or Ebron get the fair share of the snaps there. I'm still leaning Doyle, but we're going to keep an eye on that this week. So lots going on there. Jake, any players that you are in particular keeping an eye on right now?
I mean, yeah, there's a few. One thing I want to touch on here real quick. I know you said that you're all in right there with the Andrew Luck coming back. I'm not on the Andrew Luck bandwagon personally myself this week. I want to see him play for a week before I trust him in my lineup. I want to see him take a few hits, not just a few series, and just to see how it turns out. I actually had T.Y. as a sit this week for that exact reason. I just don't know what's going to go on in that offense yet. I can't exactly trust the health of Andrew Luck yet, and until I can see it, you probably took him as your quarterback 2 in most cases anyway. I'm going with who you got their number 1 and taking a week off until I can see what happens with him. You mentioned John Ross, somebody who I'm really high on this week. Love John Ross. Love the potential that John Ross could have multiple big plays this week. Alex Collins is another guy that I'm really liking this week too. Like we mentioned earlier, with the rain, they're only going to keep it on the ground more in Baltimore and Buffalo. Alex Collins is definitely somebody who could have, I could see him getting over 20 touches this week. Maybe not a whole lot, but right there in that 20 to 25 combined touches, maybe a few receptions in there. He's going to be involved heavily in the run game. They're going to be running a lot in Baltimore. Another sneaky name with Devontae Parker out is maybe Danny Amendola. I mean, I don't expect a whole lot for him for the season, but maybe for the first week he could have, a sneaky good game. If you're in a position where you lost somebody or you had some depth issues, he's somebody who's probably available on the waiver wire that you could go out and plug in. Am I excited about it? No, but it's a possible stopgap in an offense looking for some offensive weapons.
Yeah. Great players. I agree on Alex Collins 100%. I love him. So just a quick note, too. If you see me looking down, looking around, I apologize. It's not because I'm ignoring Jake, and it's not because I'm ignoring anyone out there watching.
Right.
Just I've got the phone right next to me, making sure we're keeping up on the information. I feel like Adam Schefter right now. That's a large comparison, but I feel like Adam Schefter on my phone.
I got mine, too.
Okay, Jake has his, too. So we're just trying to keep you up to date on all the information. One thing I want to point out real quick, download the RotoBaller and Fantasy Football NFL app. Do it as soon as you can. RotoBaller Fantasy Football app. download that, because you can set up notifications for injury reports, for breaking news, articles, everything. You can get all of our information from RotoBaller in one easy-to-use app. It's super clean. I love it. I use it all the time. I have the injury news set up right now, so my phone's buzzing with injury things coming out. Yours could be as well. So go over either Apple or Android, go to your store, download the RotoBaller Fantasy Football app. And Jake, I think we need to start taking some questions. What about you?
I think it's time to start getting into some of these Q&As. They've been coming in pretty quick. We've been seeing a lot of kind words. We appreciate it. I've been reading them here as Kyle's been going. If you see me nodding my head, it's because I appreciate comments. I'm not going to interrupt Kyle every 4 seconds because there's something nice to say. But maybe I will if he starts talking about a player that I don't like.
Absolutely. So if you're watching on YouTube right now, hit that like button. If you haven't subscribed yet, subscribe as well. Make sure you're checking out all of our shows throughout the week.
I saw a hashtag never funches. I just wanted to acknowledge it.
Yep, I've seen a couple already, so good for them. They're learning. They're on board.
That's right.
If you're on Twitter right now watching, make sure you follow RotoBaller NFL. Make sure you follow RotoBaller. My Twitter handle is @krich1532. Jake, what is yours?
@Fantasy Headliners, FNTSY Headliners.
Yep, absolutely. And if you're watching on Facebook, make sure you like and subscribe to the Facebook page as well. So, Jake, let's get into these. What are some of these questions we want to take this week?
Let's get into it. Let's see who we got coming up here. What about Robbie Anderson, Marquise Goodwin, or Mike Williams in a half-point PPR? This is from Robert Geyer.
Okay, I missed. What was the first name?
Robbie Anderson, Marquise Goodwin, or Mike Williams?
Man, I go Robbie Anderson if Xavier Rhodes isn't playing. I've seen a couple of things that he is playing today, so I think I'm going to back off that Marquise Goodwin pedal a little bit right now, which is unfortunate because I really love him. I want to have him in my lineup, but I think maybe this week against the Lions. No, you know what? Goodwin. Put Goodwin in. Goodwin over Anderson. That's my final call right there.
Final answer. I feel like I'm playing. What was that game show?
Yes.
Who Wants to Be a Millionaire with Kyle Richardson. What about Dak or Dalton? Should we let you answer that one, Kyle, or should I take the Dak love?
I know you love Dak. I have got Dalton above Dak this week in my rankings. I've got Dalton as the QB 11 in Indianapolis this week.
Now, I do like Dak, but I like Dalton more this week.
Okay.
Anybody playing Indianapolis, I like them.
Yep.
Anybody. If you went and played for the Bengals this week, I would start you, Kyle.
It depends on what position.
Nope. Playing you.
Starting water boy.
Whatever. Number one on the depth chart somewhere. Let's see here. Supa Kiki, I see you. I've seen you going through here. We really appreciate you too. Freeman over McCoy from Joe Camel. What do we think about that?
I have got. Let me jump back over here.
Royce Freeman over LeSean McCoy.
You know, I've got Royce Freeman coming in at the RB19 this week, but I have got McCoy a little bit ahead of him. So I'm going to go with McCoy this week. I've got McCoy at running back 17. With the weather out there, I think they'll lean on him. I don't think it's a great matchup, but I give him a little bit of a nod over Freeman this week.
Yep, that's exactly right. What about, and here's a good one, and we're going to see how we feel about this. What do you think of Chris Godwin? Not a good one, but a Godwin.
A Godwin. Here in week one, I'm tempering expectations. Marshawn Lattimore is going to be covering Mike Evans. So Godwin could end up being Godwin could end up being for a nice week. I know they're going to key on the run game. They're going to key on Mike Evans. So which one of the tight ends and Godwin are going to be the ones that kind of help push Ryan Fitzpatrick towards fantasy startable levels, which I wouldn't be starting Ryan Fitzpatrick this week if I had to. So I think he's in for a decent week, but I think we're looking more of like a wide receiver 3 flex play type week. I don't think it's going to be a huge week, but I think he's going to be up there right behind Mike Evans. I'm still going to start Mike Evans if I have him. I'm not putting him on the bench, but I think Godwin could have a decent week this week.
Yeah, I agree. I actually like Chris Godwin here for the season long. The season long play. I mean, he could be somebody that could be very surprising to a lot of people this year. What about, let's go to, what do we think about James Conner as a flex? Is a question from Ant888.
Yeah, I'll put him in my flex, especially PPR leagues. This week I've been telling people, calm your expectation, don't know what's going to happen. But with the win there today, intermediate short passing game is what I'm looking at. James Conner is going to be able to help in that area. So, yeah, I would start him in my flex position. Absolutely.
Yep, same here. Absolutely. What about, let's go with Crowder Crabtree in a half-point PPR. Do we know how to answer that one, Kyle?
If you're out there right now and watching, what is the hashtag we use when someone talks about Crabtree?
Yep, we got 2 hashtags. Let them know what we do with Crabtree. Notorious TBG needs to know our hashtag.
But to answer your question, no, I'm not playing Crabtree.
No, Crabtree is not the answer. Go Crowder.
No.
Let's see. We got Keenan Allen or AJ Green. Wow. I would hope that I wouldn't have to sit either of them.
Yeah, do you play 2 wide receivers in your league?
I mean, that I would sit somebody else and play both of them if possible.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely.
I really don't want to give you an answer of which one to sit because I mean, I think they both have great games. I love the matchup with Cincinnati for AJ Green in Indianapolis. And Keenan Allen is a PPR monster going up against a Kansas City secondary that is not as good as it was last year. Yeah, that's tough. I mean, if I had to choose one, I'm going to start AJ Green, I guess. But, I mean, I don't feel great about it.
Yeah, I have AJ Green as my wide receiver 1 this week because of that matchup. I bumped Antonio Brown down. I bumped him down to 5 just because of the weather there, just to temper expectations a little bit. But I've got AJ Green at 1. I've got Keenan Allen at 4. So you can't make a bad choice there. I would go Green over Allen, but I would seriously suggest finding any way whatsoever to get both those guys in your lineup.
Yeah. What about Marvin Jones or Demaryius Thomas in a PPR league for Lenny Lung?
For PPR this week, Marvin Jones, Demaryius Thomas. We've talked about Demaryius Thomas a lot this week. I actually have them back to back. I've got Marvin Jones at 20, Demaryius Thomas at 21. I'm going to give, now that I'm looking at it, I would still probably in a PPR league move to Demaryius Thomas a little bit. Not a whole lot, but again, they're right next to each other, so I don't think you can go wrong. I just think there's a little bit more opportunity for DT this week than Marvin Jones.
Yeah, same here. I can see Detroit taking a lead, trying to figure out a run game there in the second half. I mean, while they have a lead, they don't always have leads, so if they need to try to build that run game, they got to do it while they're up. Plus, with Marvin Jones having Kenny Galladay and Golden Tate to deal with, not that Demaryius Thomas doesn't have anybody to deal with either, but I can see them putting up some good points there in the first half in Seattle.
Yeah, and to clarify, I'm looking at my standard rankings now, not PPR. So if it is a PPR league, if you switch over, Demaryius Thomas does get a slight bump above Marvin Jones.
Okay. What about, let's see, try to get some different names up in here. Corey Davis, Jamison Crowder, or Amari Cooper in a standard league for Jose Vasquez. So you got Corey Davis, Jamison Crowder, or Amari Cooper.
In a standard league? Mm-hmm. Man, I would love to put Cooper in. But he has
never said that before.
He has a really tough matchup this week. So then it's got to come down. Jamison Crowder is a good PPR play. So I don't know if I'm as sold on him in standard. So I feel like I have to go between Davis or Cooper at this point.
Don't go Cooper. I'm going Davis. I'm going Corey Davis. I think he takes a huge step forward this year, starting with week 1, building off the momentum that they ended the season with last year with him. I like Corey Davis.
I've got Amari Cooper as my wide receiver 25. Corey Davis is my wide receiver 28 this week in standard. So I'm going to start Amari Cooper.
I hear you. What about seeing a bunch of questions here about Greg Olsen, too, now that we know that he's going to play. Yeah. But is he a safer bet than, say, an Austin Seferian-Jenkins? And this is coming from Leah, I can't pronounce your last name. I apologize. Visengardi. I tried.
I'm starting, honestly, I've got Austin Seferian-Jenkins in my lineup this week. The New York Giants gave up the most points to tight ends last year. It seemed like there's a constant. Death, taxes, and the Giants giving up a touchdown to a tight end. Last year, that's what it seemed like. And is the defense that much improved? Are they going to be able to stop tight ends? I'm not buying it. I'm going to continue to roll with that play if I can. So I've got Austin Seferian-Jenkins pretty high because there's the question of Greg Olsen, because he's had the injury. If there's bad weather, maybe he tightens up. Maybe he can't get loose there during the game. Maybe he ends up coming out for some plays. So I have ASJ as my tight end 8 right now. I have Greg Olsen as my tight end 5. But to be safe, I would put ASJ in.
Yep, I agree with that. Just to be safe. You never know. Olsen could go out there in the first series of the game, make a catch, get tackled, and his back issues flare up again, and he's out for the rest of the game. I'd rather take my chance with somebody who's at least going in 100% healthy. All right, I'm going to rapid fire a couple at you here. So the first thing that comes to the top of your head.
Let it flow.
All right, you ready? We got to go Njoku or Ricky Seals?
Njoku.
Corey Davis or Keelan Cole?
Corey Davis.
Rex Burkhead or Jamison Crowder in a flex position?
Burkhead.
Garoppolo or Alex Smith?
Garoppolo.
Dion Lewis or Alfred Morris in a flex play?
Dion Lewis or Alfred Morris? Lewis.
Landry or Goodwin in standard?
Landry.
Tate or Amari Cooper?
Tate.
Andrew Luck or Phillip Rivers?
Luck.
Are you worried about Doug Baldwin's knee injury at all?
Not right now.
Me neither. Stills or Landry?
Landry.
Baldwin, Cup, or Stills?
I have Baldwin higher than both of them.
Okay, what about Demaryius Thomas or Doug Baldwin?
Ooh, I don't know if I can rapid fire that one because they're really close together.
3, 2,
I can't do it.
1.
You do it. You rapid fire that
Baldwin.
one.
I'm going Baldwin all day long. I'm pushing Baldwin hard this week. Same with Russell Wilson. I know it's a gamble. I know the matchup isn't great, but I can see some big time scoring and some garbage time points.
I've got Baldwin 2 spots ahead of him, so I'm going Baldwin 2. That was a close one. I told you that I had to check that one.
I know. I hear you. What about Golden Tate or Jamal Williams as a flex play?
Oh, Golden, especially if it's PPR. Golden Tate for sure.
Okay, now let's pause there for 1 second because Jamal Williams is a name that comes up a lot.
I like it. Yeah, let's talk about him.
So everybody's wanting to know what to do with Jamal Williams, especially now against the Bears defense who's improved. They get Khalil Mack. They were already a top 10 defense, and then they added Khalil Mack. Is Jamal Williams too much of a gamble, even though he's the starting running back of a Aaron Rodgers-led offense?
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's going to be a really pass-heavy game for the Packers tonight. Randall Cobb, Devontae Adams. I would much rather, in a PPR league, have Ty Montgomery in my lineup other than Jamal Williams. Neither of them are perfect starts by far. If you don't have any better options, then you go with the guy who seems like he's going to get the highest workload. But I'm just not buying it this week. I think that's going to be a tough game for the running game in Green Bay to get going. And when you have Aaron Rodgers and the running game doesn't work, you just throw the ball more, and it works. So, no, I'm staying away from Jamal Williams this week. I really do not want him in my lineup.
Me neither. I mean, I would put him in there if he was the best option I had as a flex play at best, but I'm not excited about it.
Yeah.
Let's see here. I'm not saying that one. Marvin Jones or Juju?
In standard, I'm going Marvin Jones.
Okay, what about Luck or Keenum?
Luck.
I'm going Keenum. You're going Luck. Depends whose side you're on.
Okay.
You tell us, Jay. Jay Laugh, you like Luck or Keenum? Which one are you going with? Let's see. Josh Gordon or Peyton Barber? We're saying it again. Josh Gordon.
Josh Gordon not in. I don't want to start Peyton Barber this week, but I also really don't want to start Josh Gordon.
Yeah.
Peyton Barber will be on the field more than Josh Gordon, so Peyton Barber.
Especially now that Ronald Jones is inactive, that only helps Peyton Barber.
Yeah.
Let's see. What about Robert Woods or Cam Meredith? Cam Meredith is out.
So Cam Meredith is out.
So Ruben Rocha, make sure you go. Make sure take Cam Meredith out of your lineup if he's in there. Wilson or Dalton?
Wilson.
Also agree. Marshawn Lynch or Peyton Barber?
Neither is a perfect matchup. I would still go Lynch over Barber right now.
Right. I see one here that I'm going to answer real quick. It says James Conner over Christian McCaffrey or Alex Collins in a standard league. I'm going to say no. I'm keeping McCaffrey and Collins. Even though it's standard and McCaffrey loses value, I can still see them being so heavily involved with him in the pass game that it makes up for it.
I think has McCaffrey reached the point where we don't sit him even in standard leagues? I think we're at that point, honestly.
I think we're just about until we can see the first few weeks of how they're actually going to use him. If they're really going to use him as somebody who touches the ball around 20 times a week, regardless of it's running or receiving, then yes, he enters that must-start territory because there's not too many backs that you can go out there and say are going to get 20 touches a week. What about, let's see here, Marvin Jones or Doug Baldwin? I'm going Doug Baldwin. I think we did that one earlier also.
Yep, Baldwin.
Demaryius Thomas or Matt Breida in a flex play?
Demaryius Thomas, for sure, 100%.
Yep.
I don't even need to wait on that one.
John Ross or Kenny Stills?
Kenny Stills.
You're going Stills. I'm going Ross on that one. I'm playing, like I said, I would play Kyle in a Bengals helmet this week.
See here, here's the thing with that one though. John Ross is likely either the second or third option on that team, while Kenny Stills is the first option, I believe, especially with Devontae Parker out. So I think the volume will be there for Stills. There'll be more opportunity for Stills. Now, if it is, then he doesn't get in the touchdown, and John Ross gets a couple of big catches for a touchdown. then at that point, he probably ends up beating out Stills. But because Stills is the wide receiver one and likely top target in Miami this week, I've got to lean him.
Go ahead.
I knew that was coming.
Yeah. Let's see. Amari Cooper or Randall Cobb?
Oh, man.
Say it.
Say
it. It's Randall Cobb, Francisco. The answer is Randall Cobb.
I feel like I disagree. I feel like I'm going to have to go with Amari Cooper there still.
Well, if the people have been watching long enough, they know that I can't pick Cooper. If I pick Cooper now, I'm just a hypocrite. I
have them pretty close. If it's PPR, you could probably get away with playing Cobb over Cooper. If it's standard, though, again, I go back to that situation where who's going to get the most volume? Who's the wide receiver one? Who's the top target? And Mark Cooper is going to be in Oakland. So if it's standard, I go with Cooper with the hopes that he gets in the end zone. If it's PPR, you could probably still play Cobb and get away with it.
I'm seeing some comments going through here, and I wish I could read them, but you guys, I can't say some of these things.
What are they?
Well, I mean, none of them are inappropriate, I don't think, because it would block them by themselves, but I can't do some of these things. What about Coke or Pepsi, though? That's a good one.
I don't really have a favorite. Is that weird? I could drink either or and be fine with it.
Are you American?
I'm American. I am a commie.
I don't know.
I don't have I don't know. I don't have a preference with that. And the weird thing is I like diet over regular because I think regular is too syrupy. I don't know. Weird advice.
Wow, that's like some in-depth analysis. I was just going to say I like Coke, but I can't because I live in Carolina and it's like the home of Pepsi, and if I say I like Coke, I'm in serious trouble. So I'm going to go with the old-fashioned answer and just say both.
Both.
All right.
You just made fun of me for that. I said both. I said okay. That's okay. That's right. I think what we need to do at some point, though, Jake, is let it flow.
Yeah.
I think it's reached that time of the show. So, what we need first, if you're on YouTube, you got to hit that like button. We have 416 people watching and only 83 likes. So, if you want to see Jake let it flow, throw some hands up, hit the like button, and Jake's going to do his thing here in a minute.
And I don't know if I need to let it flow freely or if the helmet needs to squeeze the knowledge out of the head. So, that's something else that also needs to be addressed here in the comment section. It's week one. I'll do whatever I got to do to make sure people get their answers. But, yeah, I got to see the likes and I got to see the hands raised first. And I got to get a drink of water because I have a feeling I'm going to start rapid firing here in a minute.
Yeah, people are upset we're talking about Coke or soda. We're trying to be a little bit light. We've given you a lot of information. We have a half hour left.
Yeah, we've got to have some fun with it. Part of fantasy football, a lot of these things just get taken too seriously and it takes the fun out of it. You got to keep the fun in it. You got to have the debate in it. A little bit of humor never hurt nobody. Everybody needs a little bit more laughter in their life, and that's what we're here for also. And here I see some hands coming in, Kyle.
Here we go. We just jumped 30 likes, too, so I think it's time to let it flow. 2 minutes on the clock. Let's get it ready.
Hang on. I got to get the helmet. The helmet's got to squeeze the knowledge out, and this is for you guys, week one.
So if you're new to the show, we have a segment. Jake lets it flow. He puts the helmet on, 2 minutes, answers as many of your questions as possible. So if you've been typing your questions, as soon as we say go, start retyping them. Jake is going to answer as many as he can in the next 2 minutes. The Let It Flow helmet is on. We are ready to go.
Chin strap locked in.
Pumped. Here we go. Are you ready, Jake?
Hang on. Before we get started, I need somebody out there in YouTube land to keep track. I want to see how many questions we can answer in 2 minutes nonstop. So whoever wants to take that challenge, you can throw the answer down in the comment section here as soon as we're done. Otherwise,
all right. Here we go.
Let me have it.
Let's get it started. The timer starts. 3, 2, 1. Let it flow.
We got Freeman, Mixon, or Connor in a non-PPR. I'm going Mixon all day long. He wears a Bengals uniform. I love the helmet also. Thank you for sharing. Blake Bortles or Matthew Stafford, Keelan Cole at a flex. I'm going with Stafford, and Cole at a flex is fine with me. Landry or Emmanuel Sanders. Give me Emmanuel Sanders. I think he's a little bit safer. I like Landry. Now the weather's a little bit better, but I'm playing it safe. Rivers or Stafford. I'm going with Rivers. I like the shootout potential with them in Kansas City. Cousins is a good play. Yes, I agree. AB in the flex. If he's somebody you can put in the flex, that's great. Holy crap, these are going fast. We have, I can't even read them. Kerryon Johnson or Alfred Morris in a flex play. I don't have any idea how much volume Kerryon Johnson's going to get, so I'm going with Alfred Morris. T.Y. or Fitzgerald in the PPR. Give me Fitzgerald. He's safer. Landry or Sanders in a standard league. Still staying Sanders. Ross or Juju. I want the big play potential of Ross this week. I'm going John Ross. Watkins, Goodwin, or Ross. Ross. Staying with Ross. I like Ross this week. I like Ross a lot. Traquan Smith, yeah, he has got a good opportunity to get a few targets this week with the opportunity there. Let's see. We have Burkhead or Lynch. Give me Burkhead all day long. Burkhead or Connor. Still sticking with Burkhead. We have Greg Olson or Kenny Stills or Goodwin. I'm not playing Greg Olson or Goodwin. Give me Stills. Stills or Burkhead. Still Burkhead. Eifert or Cook. Give me Cook. Eifert will be hurt within the first 4 seconds of the game. Randall Cobb or Jarvis Landry in a standard league. Give me Cobb for the touchdown potential. Watkins or Kenny Stills. Give me Kenny Stills. Cook or Mixon. Going Mixon. We got Barber or Carlos Hyde in a standard league. Not starting Barber. Going with Hyde there. Luck or Smith. Not starting Luck. Going Alex Smith. Hilton or Allen Robinson. I'm not a big fan of either, but if I had to choose one, I'm going Allen Robinson.
10 seconds.
We have Keelan Cole or Corey Davis. Give me Corey Davis. Mixon or McCoy. I'm going Mixon. Goodwin or Cobb. Going Cobb. Jalen Samuels or Matt Breida. I'm going with Breida. Mixon or Collins. Staying with Mixon.
Whew. We're done. There it is. The first Let It Flow of RotoBaller Game Day Live.
Man, those were coming so fast, I could hardly focus my eyes on them.
It started, it really ramped up there for a second, and I got worried. I was like, is he going to be able to see all these?
I thought I was going to have like a seizure or something. It was going so fast.
Whew. All right, so let's wrap it back around. Jake, I'm going to give you a minute to breathe. I'm going to take over here for a second. I'm not going to rapid fire any questions, so we'll get back to your questions in just a second. Somebody said over 20 questions, I think. I feel like it had to have been more than that.
26, somebody says. 28.
So anyway.
They keeps going up, though. It's like our likes. They keep going up.
Well, someone said 92. So, all right,
like
here,
92. Ramiz wins.
Let's wrap stuff back around here real quick. So if you haven't heard yet, let's talk about those inactives. Will Fuller is officially out this week. Devontae Parker is also out. Again, Will Fuller is out. Hopkins is already way up there, but Lamar Miller, I feel like, gets a boost. Devontae Parker being out. Kenny Stills, for sure, wide receiver 1 there. I like his play this week. Greg Olson is active, but you have to be careful with the weather there. Is he going to have issues getting stretched out? Is he going to have issues staying loose? If you have other good options, you might want to think about playing them, but if you don't, put them in your lineup. Sonny Michel is likely out. Rex Burkhead, huge boost this week. I think Burkhead is the guy there. I know James White's going to get some touches out of the backfield as far as pass catching goes, but Burkhead, really solid play. I also believe that Chris Hogan is a very solid play. I have him as my wide receiver 8 in PPR leagues this week. That's right. Ronald Jones is inactive this week. If you have Ronald Jones and you thought you were going to be sneaky and start him, I really hope you weren't, but he is inactive. We're getting close to dropping in redraft leagues. If we haven't already, I don't think he's worth holding on to. Marlon Mack is inactive. It sounds like Jordan Wilkins is going to get the fair share of the touches there today. You can never count out the other guys, though. I'm hoping that Nyheim Hines carves out some sort of a role today. He's really let us down in the preseason, but we'll see. Jordan Wilkins, though, I don't know. I'm not going with any Colts running back this week. If you have a Colts running back, find a different option. I am not starting Wilkins, PPR, or redraft. Doesn't matter.
I'm getting some fist bumps for the amounts and numbers. I'm just not interrupting you.
No, I saw that. That's why. Cam Meredith also inactive today. I'm keeping an eye on Traquan Smith. I don't think he's starting this week, but if Meredith continues to be inactive or can't get into the lineup, Smith gets a huge bump as the wide receiver 2 there in New Orleans. Again, weather that we're watching today as well. Pittsburgh and Cleveland, that doesn't seem to be nearly as bad as we originally thought. The rain is going to be steady throughout the game. The winds are the issue that we need to keep an eye on. So Cleveland and Pittsburgh, I'm okay with playing James Conner, Duke Johnson, Carlos Hyde, anybody that's going to help in the short to intermediate passing game. I think Landry is still a really solid play this week. Again, wind is the factor, not the rain anymore. The deep ball is what we're worried about. Buffalo at Baltimore is going to have weather issues. Jags at Giants, Titans at Dolphins, Cowboys and Panthers, something you want to keep an eye on. We're within 20 minutes to kick off here at 1 o'clock. But again, those are the news and notes so far for the day, and we'll keep you updated.
Yeah, absolutely. And you see them scrolling across the bottom there. If you missed one of them, I got the weather up there on the screen scrolling through so you guys can see it. Cleveland yesterday was literally supposed to be 64 inches of rain within the span of 10 minutes, it seemed like they were saying. And now it's come back to the point of where maybe 1 to 3 inches. But at game time, only a 70% chance. So it's going to be raining. It's going to be wet, but it may not be absolutely horrible like we had thought it was going to be yesterday. The other ones, there's some rain, but I don't think there's any big concerns. I see a question here. I don't understand it. It says the Tooth or Ninja Turtle.
What?
I don't know. I'm going Ninja Turtles though. Big fan of the Ninja Turtles.
All right, let's get back to answering some of those questions. Not about the Ninja Turtles though.
Yeah, no, I don't know much about that. But I do like this one. It says the fantasy headliners versus everybody. Let's put that with the RotoBaller / fantasy headliners versus everybody, and then we're good.
We're all one big happy family.
We're all
here.
one big happy family. Absolutely.
Super glad to have Jake at RotoBaller.
That's
so,
right.
Neil Pedro has put this like 5 times now. So real quick, he keeps asking about playing James Conner over CMC or Collins and Standard. We answered that one. No, do not put CMC or Collins on your bench for James Conner. Don't do it.
Yeah, I mean, it's tempting because of the role that James Conner's going to get, but those guys, they're must starts this week.
Yeah.
Must starts. Let's see here. Let's do it because Dave answered his hand. A dynasty trade: Mixon for Reed, Ingram, and Baldwin. That seems like really good. Hang on, let me scroll back up to it in case I misread something. But he raised his hand politely, so we're answering it. A dynasty trade: Mixon for Reed, Mark Ingram, and Doug Baldwin.
Mixon is the best long-term value. So if you have a dynasty league that you think might be middle of the pack or lower end, then I go with Mixon. If you are a top 3 team though, Baldwin, Ingram, and Reed, right? Jordan Reed. Mm-hmm. It's decent, but I don't know if I would give Mixon up to get that. If you need a wide receiver, if you need a tight end, you'll get Jordan Reed for 4 to 6 games this year. But I don't know if I could do that. I like Mixon way too much, so I would take the Mixon side still.
Yeah, Mixon, I mean, I like Baldwin, but being that it's dynasty and stuff, it does change things. A lot of people see the names and they're like, oh, for this year, I'd much rather have Reed, Baldwin. But yeah, dynasty things change a little bit.
So Jack Marizik has a question real quick. He wants to know if he plays Honey Bunches of Oats or the homeless guy that cleans my windows with a dirty rag.
Oh, easy, the homeless guy. I mean, it's not even close. I don't even have to look at my rankings for that one. I'll give him a new rag before I start Honey Bunches of Oats. It's not happening. Look at it, everybody's raising their hand. I can't call on everybody. It's just like in school, right? We all went to school at some point, and you raise your hand. The teacher's got to pick one person. Not everybody answers.
Here's what I got to do real quick. I'm getting tons of Xavier Rhodes questions. I'm going to do a little bit of research real quick because I personally have not seen anything yet. I'm still seeing questionable. Nope, here we are. Xavier Rhodes is playing today. So Xavier Rhodes no longer questionable. He will be on the field today. I'm wondering, man, he's been questionable now. So do we still play Goodwin in the hopes that, maybe Rhodes can't keep up with him? I've heard a lot of people say that Rhodes could be over on Garcon. I don't know, man. I like Goodwin so much. I want to put him in my lineup. I guess it depends on who I have ahead of him. But I have a couple of leagues that maybe here in the next 10 minutes while we're doing the live show, I'm just going to click and put Goodwin back in the lineup.
I like this one, though. It says Happy Gilmore's caddy or Amari Cooper.
Amari Cooper, come on.
The caddy was a stud. He's a must start. Yeah, we'll get back into some of these questions, though. What about Mahomes or Dalton for week 1? That's a good one.
I have Dalton. I did bump Mahomes up in my rankings, but I still have Dalton.
Yes, I'm going Dalton all the way. Like I said, Bengals uniform. He's playing. What about our thoughts on Michael Gallup from Lewis? I don't want to mispronounce your name. I don't know if it's Herbert or Abear, but either way, we're gonna talk about Michael Gallup. I like Michael Gallup. Season long and even this week, I can see him being one of the rookie wide receivers that sees the most attention, the most targets week 1. They need a playmaker in Dallas. Everybody talks about how weak the wide receiving core is there, and I don't think it's as weak as a lot of people think it is. I mean, Michael Gallup, Allen Hurns, Cole Beasley, they're not sexy on paper, but they're going to be able to produce. They're just not going to put up big, huge wide receiver 1 numbers. But as a group, I think they're going to be more than consistent enough.
Yeah. My rule of thumb right now is that I'm not playing rookie wide receivers in week 1 unless I have to. So I don't know if I could play Gallup this week. I think it's going to be a ground and pound game with Zeke. I think we're going to see Cole Beasley a lot this week. And then as the season goes on, I think maybe they open up more for him. But week 1, I don't want to have Gallup in my line if I don't have to.
Not if you don't have to, no. But I mean, if it's a really deep league or he's one of your choices that you have to choose from, and you don't have nobody else other than the names we've talked about, then you have to do it. But I'm hopefully not having to do that.
Yeah.
I don't know why Chadley07 wants to know if we like Frozen or Moana. I prefer Moana, but that's because
they're both so good.
Yeah. Okay.
I think I have to go with Frozen, though.
No, no. I like to consider myself like the Rock, the demigod guy. So that's me. I play a part in that movie, kind of, so I got to pick it. You guys must be going crazy with all the hands up. Absolutely. I can't keep track of all of them. What about Jimmy G or Marcus Mariota?
Jimmy G or Marcus Mariota. Let me jump back over here real quick. I've got Mariota as my QB 13 this week. I've got Jimmy G in Minnesota as my QB 20. I think it's a okay week, but there could be a pick or two. I just don't see it from Goodwin this week. I'm being careful with him. I dropped him down significantly. Now that Rhodes is playing, I'm going with Mariota this week.
Yep, absolutely. Totally agree with that one. What about, I'm not going to say Funchess' name again. I just said it, I guess. I'm not starting Funchess. Going with Ross. Kenny Stills or Allen Robinson?
I have got Kenny Stills ahead of Allen Robinson right now.
And I don't disagree with that one bit. Allen Robinson's really tricky this year. We've talked about it a lot here in the offseason. It's just so many question marks. He's got a new quarterback, a new team, a new offense, no chemistry with Trubisky. Trubisky, I'm not sold on yet that he is going to take this huge step forward, and they have more weapons there than they have had in a long time, and I just don't think he can supply all of them with the numbers that a lot of us are expecting.
Yeah.
What about, I see Tyler Lockett's name a lot this week also. Is that somebody that we need to talk about? Is Tyler Lockett relevant? I mean, outside of leagues that give you points for return yardage, I don't know if I really care about Tyler Lockett.
Yeah, let's talk about it for a second. So with Tyler Lockett, in a PPR league, yeah, I don't have any problem putting him in a flex position. Baldwin's still the number one guy there. But if Baldwin were to come off the field, let's say they try to be a little bit easy on him this week, then yeah, maybe we see more of Tyler Lockett in that PPR format. I think we will see a lot of Rashad Penny if that happens too, honestly, because he's going to handle that passing catch work a lot better than Chris Carson would. So that's what I'm kind of keeping out. Jerron Brown, I think, is a really big dark horse sleeper this year. I think he's going to offer some value as well. So I like Lockett. I don't know if I want to start him this week right away because I want to see how things work out. Again, week one, I want to be as safe as possible. I don't want to be trying to outsmart too many people at this point. I want to be as safe as possible, and that would include having Lockett on my bench unless I absolutely need him. But if I need him on there, I wouldn't be too upset about that.
That's right. We got Billy Jack Smith asking us for help. Dalton or Big Ben? I know where I'm going.
Dalton
also. That's both of our consensus there. Oh, Toxic, I see you. Hello. I've been seeing a lot of hellos from you, but I've not been able to keep up. Jake, why do I have no love for Amari Cooper? To me, it's an easy answer. If you haven't watched the show a lot, you don't have a whole lot of the backstory, so you may not understand. It's nothing personal against Amari Cooper. When I see Amari Cooper, I see a guy who looks like he is fresh out of give a craps and doesn't really care to go out there and do anything above and beyond. Not that he's not talented, he just doesn't have that fire, and I don't see it, and that offense is in trouble in Oakland. I think the entire organization is in trouble. It's like Oakland's kind of checked out. They're like, put us in Vegas and we're good. I'm just not buying the Amari Cooper. Plus, you had to draft him too high for me this year. But that's the quick, fast, and ugly backstory of Amari Cooper. Does that sound about right?
Yep.
Okay. Cousins or Dalton?
I don't agree, but
I know you don't. Cousins or Dalton?
Hold on. Let me jump back here real quick. I think these two are both close for me. I've got Cousins. Cousins as the QB6.
Yep. Both of them, I think, have good, solid games this week. ASJ or Trey Burton? That's a good question, Edgar.
Oh, man.
To me, if there's one Bears guy on the offense that I would trust this week, I would think that Trey Burton would be on the tops of that list.
Yeah, I've got ASJ as the tight end 8 this week, and Trey Burton is the tight end 10. So I'm going to go with ASJ.
Yeah, I mean, I think they both have solid games. Me, personally, I would put Burton slightly higher just because I think Trubisky looks for him, early and often. Mm-hmm. Let's see here. Still sitting Josh Gordon, people. If you're asking about Josh Gordon, he's a sit for both of us this week.
Yep.
What about James Conner or Robert Woods in a half-point PPR?
I'll go with Conner.
Yeah, then I go with Conner. Woods has too much competition there.
Yep.
Kupp, Stills, or Davis?
Stills.
I don't know what that one means. Dalton or Russell Wilson? We're sticking Russell Wilson there. I know that already. Marshawn Lynch or Chris Hogan in a flex spot?
I'm sorry.
It was Lynch or Hogan, and for me, it's easily Hogan.
Yeah, okay. Yep.
Easily Hogan, 100%. Collins, Cobb, or Goodwin? I'm sticking with Collins there. I like the 20-plus touch potential that he has this week.
Yep.
John Ross, Corey Davis, or Pierre Garçon?
Corey Davis.
You going Corey Davis? I'm stuck on the John Ross bandwagon this week. I can't get off of it. It's moving too fast at this point. I got to stay on. There's a question that says James Bryant or Jacob Hudman. I'm taking myself every day of the week. Stafford or Jimmy G?
Stafford, for sure.
Perfect. Need help! Exclamation mark. Victor really needs some help. He's got Gordon or Garcon. We're not starting Josh Gordon.
No. Again,
everybody, we are not starting Josh Gordon.
Don't put Josh Gordon in your lineup for any reason whatsoever unless you have so many injuries that you have to put him in because you don't have anyone else.
Exactly. But you probably have better options.
Exactly.
Royce Freeman or James Conner in a PPR league?
In a PPR league, I have got Royce Freeman ahead of James Conner right now still.
For just this week?
Oh, for just this week, yeah. Royce Freeman ahead of James Conner for this week.
Let's see. Keelan Cole or Corey Davis in a PPR?
I'm pretty sure I have Corey Davis ahead of Keelan Cole.
Yes, I would too.
Yes. Yep.
Cole is closing the gap, though. He is inching closer to the area of where Corey Davis will be consistently week in.
I have Davis as wide receiver 28. I have Keelan Cole as wide receiver 35.
That's right. Well, hey, we only got a couple minutes left. We got about 3 minutes left before we kick it off here because, hey, it's football season. It's week 1, and we got to go watch football too. Did you set your lineups yet?
I have.
Okay.
Have you?
I think so.
My lineups was set last night.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I did it. I had to have by now. It's an obsession. But no, hey, we're going to only answer a few more questions. And then, hey, we really appreciate your guys' support. Week 1 here, big success. Looking forward to week 2 already. But, hey, we got some games to win in week 1. We'll finish it off with a few questions unless you got anything else you want to add in there, Kyle.
Yeah, real quick, before we answer any other questions, stick with us. We're going to keep answering questions up until we're done with the show. But real fast, again, go over to rotoballer.com. That is where you can find all of my written work. You can find shows from Jake and I there as well. Subscribe on YouTube. If you haven't subscribed on YouTube yet, do it. For those of you that did not have your questions answered this week about start set, we apologize. We want to answer as many as we can. I feel like we've done a pretty good job today. But don't forget, rotoballer.com, we have a start or sit tool. It is 100% free. Go to rotoballer.com, click on tools, start or sit, and you enter 2 players that you're interested in going with, and it will tell you who to put in your lineup. So if you're still asking questions right now, go to rotoballer.com. Do it. Get those answered there with no problems. Again, follow us on Facebook, like and subscribe on Twitter, subscribe on YouTube. Hopefully we were able to get to as many as possible today, but we'll still continue to wrap up here with a few more questions.
Yeah, and if you guys enjoyed the show, having a little bit of fun, doing some rapid fire, getting you some information, make sure you're hitting the like button. Those likes help support the show, helps us, get more views in front of more people. We appreciate the support. We'll get into a couple more questions, though, before we sign off here.
Nugmaster wants to know if we're going Royce Freeman or Jordan Howard in standard. I'm going with Howard.
Yes. Why do I keep seeing things with turtles in it? What's going on with the turtles? Did I miss something?
The turtles. I don't know. I haven't missed anything.
For the turtles, Jake. Marquise Goodwin, Keelan Cole, or Amendola in PPR. I'm sticking with Keelan Cole there. Out of between Cole, Goodwin, and Amendola.
I've got Goodwin at wide receiver 27 and Cole at wide receiver 35.
Yeah. I worry about the whole Xavier Rhodes thing and not really knowing. I mean, it could have been all along something. He's really not that banged up, and they were just playing the injury report game. You never know, and I don't know if I want to take that challenge. Let's see, we got Thielen or Stills. I'm going Thielen, hands down there. Okay. Somebody's there just so they don't get fired. Congratulations. I don't want you to get fired either. Emmanuel Sanders, Cooper Kupp, or Marvin Jones in a PPR league.
What were the 3 again?
Emmanuel Sanders, Cooper Kupp, or Marvin Jones.
I'm going Emmanuel Sanders.
Great answer.
I'm going Emmanuel Sanders this week.
That's right. You got some Go Blue fans right there, Kyle.
Go Blue.
That's right. Sterling Shepard or Michael Gallup. Now, this is where I would possibly go Michael Gallup.
Yes, and if it's PPR, Shepard becomes more enticing at that point. I would probably risk it with Gallup as well.
Yep, that's one of those situations we talked about before where if you're in that position, then I don't have that issue starting him.
Stephen Garcia 214. Yes, there is an app, the RotoBaller fantasy football app, Android or Apple, which either one. Go and download it. You can set up news alerts. You can set up alerts for injuries. You can read all of our articles, see all of our rankings. RotoBaller fantasy football app. Go download it today. Don't forget.
Yes, absolutely. And, we pride ourselves on being one of the most interactive shows out there on YouTube giving you fantasy football advice. There's very few channels out there that give you guys the opportunity to have direct contact with us almost 24/7. I mean, I feel like I might as well sew my cell phone to my hand because I feel it's always in there. We really appreciate it, you guys. It's been a great week one. I'm ready to go watch some football. Kyle, you ready to go watch some football?
I am ready as well. Thanks again to everybody for joining us today. We really appreciate it. Whether you are on YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, it doesn't matter. Really love you people over on YouTube, though. Oh, man. Great platform. Love it.
Yeah.
So join us again next week. Again, keep in mind, on the YouTube channel, hit subscribe. Jake and I have at least 3 shows dropping every week. We do a live show throughout the week to answer your questions as much as possible. And then again, RotoBaller Game Day live from 12 to 1 every Sunday for the entire season. Make sure you're tuning in for that. Jake, give us your Twitter handle one more time.
Yep, you can find me at Fantasy Headliners, FNTSY Headliners.
You can find me on Twitter at KRich1532. Good luck in week 1. And we look forward to talking to you again next week. We'll see you then.
Yep, everybody have a good one.